TCAD 9, Japan pledges $5.5 billion to tackle economic challenges and aid development in Africa.
Tackling this crisis requires a clear focus not only on development for Africa.
Federal government moves to strengthen project accountability in governance.
Every project, we have currently ongoing about 50 projects. Each of those projects is addressing a particular area.
Nigeria's Civil Aviation Authority insists on complete shutdown on phones during flights.
Today's engagement is therefore going to address different aspects of the ecosystem.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on regulating inland waterways transportation.
Nigeria's rivers and waterways do not just offer beauty and commerce. They are also about safety, regulation, and sustainability.
And Victor, that's where the National Inland Waterways Authority, or NIWA, comes in, making sure our water transportation systems run safely, securely, and responsibly.
Now, from navigation rules to environmental protection, NIWA has a broad mandate. Regulatory services, safety standards, and even licensing requirements are all part of that package.
What challenges remain? Think infrastructure deficits, safety worries, and environmental impacts.
Still, recent developments like the Supreme Court ruling and new regulatory updates show that change is underway. And
in a country where waterways could be a major driver of economic growth, getting the balance right is crucial. Safety, security, and sustainability alongside development.
As the economy expands, our waterways will only become more important. And so we'll keep tracking how regulations shape the future of transportation and trade. I am Victor Azo. Thank you so very much for starting your day with us on Good Morning Nigeria.
And I'm Jumai Yusuf. Together with Victor, we'll take you through today's conversation. Up next, the newspaper review with Chikudi Okolo-Gbaja. But first, let's catch the morning highlights with Dennis Adegunoye. Dennis, good morning.
Good morning, Jumai and Victor. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. The Japanese government has pledged to strengthen its partnership with African countries through a $5.5 billion investment aimed at tackling economic challenges and fostering development on the continent. This commitment was made by Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba during the opening of the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TCAD 9, in Yokohama. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu expressed Nigeria's readiness to represent Africa in the United Nations Security Council's permanent seat category, emphasizing the need for fair and equitable representation.
Tackling this crisis requires a clear focus not only on development for Africa, but on development with Africa. And I salute Japan for making this the focus of its cooperation with the continent.
Speakers at a one-day sensitization campaign on President Bola Tinubu's midterm achievements, organized by the Federal Information Center in Benin City, have commended the quality of the federal government's intervention programs, projects, and initiatives over the past 2 years. They believe these efforts indicate that Nigeria is on the right path to economic revitalization under President Tinubu's leadership.
A lot of palliative are being given. A lot of empowerment are being given. In fact, including the women empowerment are being given.
The federal government is revamping its approach to delivering good governance by focusing on project accountability. The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation is enhancing coordination among stakeholders to eliminate duplication of efforts, as seen at a recent retreat for national project coordinators in Abuja.
And Nigerians should expect improvement in the various facets that these projects are seeking to address. Every project, we have currently ongoing about 50 projects. Each of those projects is addressing a particular area, from agriculture to education to healthcare, name it. Every aspect, is addressed. And there are specific projects with project objectives.
And the federal government has reaffirmed commitments to empowering the National Directorate of Employment, NDE, to create millions of jobs for unskilled and unemployed Nigerians. Minister of Labour and Employment, Mohammed Megari Dingyadi, made this statement during an inspection of the ongoing construction of the new NDE headquarters in Abuja, slated for completion by the end of the year.
The contractor is trying very hard to ensure that he meets our target. So I am satisfied with what I have seen, and so far so good. I do hope that the NDE will try to move in as quickly as possible.
In a major move to strengthen aviation safety, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has ordered that all mobile phones must be switched off completely during flights on Nigerian airlines. The DG NCAA, Chris Najomo, stated this during an emergency meeting of the National Civil Aviation Security Committee in Abuja.
Today's engagement is therefore going to address different aspects of the ecosystem, the regulator, airline security, airspace security, airport security, and of course, the traveling public, who do not only have rights, but have responsibilities.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has paid a condolence visit to Kogi State Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo in Okene following the passing of his father, Ahmed Momo Sani Ododo. The Vice President was accompanied by Borno State Governor Baba Gana Zulum. Prior to the visit, Shettima had attended the third-day prayer at the residence of the late Mohammed Modu Manga in Maiduguri, paying his respects to his brother-in-law.
We are here at the behest of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to commiserate with the government and people of Kogi State, and most especially the Ododo family, over the demise of the patriarch of the family, late Alhaji Ahmed Momo Sani. He was a community leader, a philanthropist, and his son is truly a worthy scion and ambassador for the family. May Allah grant his soul eternal rest and reward him with his Al-Jannah Firdaus.
And that's the news at this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues after the break with Victor and Jume. Stay with us.
Introducing the new Jig Sachet. Whitening your whites has never been more affordable. Now you can keep whites shining brighter and disinfect by killing 99.9% of germs on your floors and other surfaces. Just jig it with Jig Sachet.
Have you been aspiring to be a student of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University Zaria to no avail? Worry no more, as you can gain entry through NTA Television College Jos, an affiliate of the renowned Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, where eligible candidates with a JAMB admissible scores of not less than 180 and 100 scores, and with 5 credits O-level in social sciences, including English and mathematics, can turn their passion in broadcasting to profession by applying for a BSc in mass communication and MBTE approved innovation diploma courses in film and television production, broadcast journalism, and television engineering, respectively. The college, as a training hub with a pedigree of professionalism in the media space, also offers specialized courses in other related fields. For more information, visit our website at www.ntatvc.edu.ng or contact 080-33-834-343 and 080-69-809-897. Announcer Management.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Harpic is thicker and sticks better, which gives 10x better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow.
You can now see that Harpic is better than
bleach. Confidence is important in life's little moments. Strong teeth can help, even if they get her into trouble sometimes. A great smile is useful to break the ice, and making friends is easier when you know you have fresh breath. I give my family confidence with Pepsodent Triple Protection 123. Its antibacterial action formula gives them cavity protection, white teeth, and fresh breath. The confidence of 3 toothpaste in 1. Pepsodent Triple Protection 123.
We're not in a romantic relationship, we're in a dash.
Brotherly relationship. Friends with benefits.
Yeah, very bad boy.
No. Family relationship.
Who be your family?
Situationship.
Are you in a situationship?
It is well.
Survey says... Hey!
Onenge is my girlfriend.
You want judge? Thank God. Say I hacked. An oversized shirt is okay to wear, but an oversized dash isn't.
Skirts.
Girl.
Shop.
Pants. Whoa. Name something you add to your text to make them more interesting.
Emojis.
Stickers, pictures.
The way my back at the breathing, at the hear.
Gifts.
Survey says.
My birthday.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear in colors, with undoubted deeper, we make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Each ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
All right, let's see what's making rounds on the front pages this morning. It is time for newspaper review.
And our newspaper reviewer, Chukudi Okolu-Gbaja, is sitting in the studio. Good morning.
I hope we are seeing the last days of the real Hamatan in Abuja, as you call it.
No.
Hamatan.
Hamatan. Oh, you
Hamatan.
got that pronunciation. Hamatan. you took it from me that day.
I beg you.
Like Hamatan. The stress is on the second syllable.
Yes, Hamatan.
Yeah, I hope these are the last days because I really feel cold.
It's beautiful weather, please. I'm enjoying it. It's beautiful weather.
She likes it when it's cold.
Yes.
Good
morning, Victor. Newspaper review.
Yeah, let's go to the People's Daily. I'll begin with it, and we'll have it below the masthead. Dangote Refinery slashes diesel price to 960 naira per litre. That's the People's Daily. You find all the details on page 8. And gunmen kill woman, son, 2 others in Benue community. You find the details on page 8, on page 9. And the headlines in the People's Daily this morning. Reps Committee summons 11 discos over 2.6 trillion debt to FG. Details on page 8. At the bottom plate of the People's Daily, ADC rejects increase in salaries of political office holders. You find the details on page 10. And Wiki assures access to potable water supply across FCT by 2027. Details on page 21. FCC urges equitable distribution of NSIA-funded projects. Find the details on page 3. Governor Alia bows to pressure, upholds House resolutions in suspension of public officials. Details on page 2. Ticket 9, Tinubu hails Nigeria's armed forces as Japanese PM pledges 5.6 billion naira support for Africa. You find the details on page 7, Victor.
All right, I have the Vanguard here, and the lead story, screaming really, anger over planned pay rise for political office holders. And several riders, salary hike for politicians provocative, says ACF spokesman. Suspend increment for now, ADC tells FG. It's wicked, selfish, Northern Khan. Timing is wrong, says ex-Nasima boss Dele Oye. Proposal insensitive to suffering of Nigerians, that's credited to PDP, NNPP, and Okori. And finally, it's misplacement of priority. That's according to the CUPP. And that story is on page 5. Just above the nameplate, assault on NYSC member, Soludo sacks vigilante operatives, is on page 7. Katsina massacre, death toll rises to 50. NCC to governors, waive or reduce 145 naira ROW fees. Okay, I hope I got that right. It's on page 46. And that tiny strip above these three, FG raises GDP targets to 5% ahead of IMF projection. And coming down, reps summon 11 discos over 2.6 trillion naira debt owed FG. You can find details on page 8. And 2027, Tinubu's re-election done deal, says Tunjojo, and that story is on page 8. Okay, finally, let me just leave you with this one. Mr. and Mrs. He said, darling, which do you prefer, boxers made from cotton or the ones made from silk? I want people to know you are a man of class. And Mr. asks, how will they know? Okay.
That's not the last, actually. We have the Daily Times newspaper, and just below, above the masthead, Fulani militia sack occupied 10 plateau communities, group alleges. You find the details on page 6. And Victor, I've read some of the stories. Now let me go to NAMA. Commences first audit of Nigerian airspace. You find the details on page 9. Court orders freezing of Jaiz Bank accounts linked to former NMPCL GMD Kyari. You find the details on page 8. Frequent amendments to PIA create anxiety, scare oil investors. That's coming from Pengerson. Page 2. Nigeria deepens $25 billion gas network as Africa confronts $170 billion infrastructure gap. Details on page 12. Tikar 9, Tinubu in Tokyo for strategic engagement, not trade expo. That's coming from the presidency. And last but not the least, PSC approves promotion of 952 ASPs to DSPs, discovers 176 retirees on list. Details on page 8. Mr. Chukwudi.
Thank you, Jumai. First of all, let me start on a very positive note. And I say, as usual, Dangi Baba. How's Dangote? 900 naira for a liter of diesel. That's what it plans now.
Yes.
Remember, 3 years ago, we were talking about 1,600 naira per liter. Who says economic theories don't work in Nigeria?
They do.
They do. Of late, we have come to see that economic
policies
policies
It's all about political
work.
will.
Exactly, political will. Sometimes you're told that you have to suffer before you begin to see the door to heaven, you know. I don't call it suffering. It's actually experience. It depends on how you want to think.
It's a phase we're passing through.
Exactly, it's a phase. You must believe in you and your creator. And over time, it's going to work out for you. Anger over planned pay rise for political office holders. First of all, is this a report that was derived from somebody saying we are going to give them pay rise, or is it investigative journalism? We have to be sure so that we don't go speculating.
No,
Anyhow,
but if you see the
Yeah.
spread of response,
Yes.
I don't think it's speculative.
and it cuts across the newspapers.
It's not
Victor,
speculative.
Victor, you have a point. But let me say this quickly. It is not really we'll give you 140,000 naira basic that is a problem when it comes to these people. We're talking about this class of people. It's the allowances that go with the basic that bring up what they get at the end of the day. So if, like the lawmakers, they fix their own bonuses and all that, I find it difficult to pronounce this, revenue mobilization.
RMAFC.
That's the easy way out.
They are the source, actually.
Allocation committee, you know, they really are the ones. If you know what a senator's real salary is, you're going to say, how could that be? But at the end of the day, the take home is something that makes you, what is this? You know? So what are we talking about? Is it the allowances we're talking about, or is it the basic? The basic is controlled centrally. So till you sort out those, you cannot speak categorically
but whether it is basic, whether it is allowance, increase is increase.
Yes.
And the response is directed at the plan to increase. By the way, I'm just looking at the papers, and it's credited to the chairman of RMAFC on Monday, who hinted that they were going to do this. So it doesn't matter now whether it is in allowances or it doesn't matter.
Yes. Yes. I agree with you. What really is the angst, the anger of Nigerians, is that they feel that the ordinary people are still pining away in God knows what. Yesterday we said, I think it was the U.S. people mentioning that 70,000 naira minimum wage. They mentioned the judiciary in some of the papers yesterday and all that, which I feel is none of their business. Let's work out our problems and solve them. So they are looking at what do generality of Nigerians get compared to what the office holders get. Till you bring a nexus that seems to suggest equitable distribution of income, people keep on talking about that from time to time. You know, I know they'll sort that all out over time. Yes. There's this other bit you read. Okay, the federal government is actually projecting that GDP would rise to 5%. Only China was doing that about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. That's quite optimistic.
It is.
You know? Of course, IMF would eventually say this is where it is, or whatever body, you know, says that. But the fact that we can dream is something I find quite salutary to whatever effort is being made to improve the economy. You know, we would always say here that the economy is improving. It's just that Jumai's pocket is still too lean to meet prices. I just pray that over
Let's
time.
talk about this. The Daily Times newspaper. PSA approves promotion of 952 ASPs to TSPs. Discovers 176 retirees on the list.
Black Africa needs to take care of certain attitudes so that we'll become credible. We'll become credible. You know, there are certain things we should not be saying in the present day. When you hear ghost workers in 2025, in this digital age, where your thumbprint, your facial recognition, everything is there, you ask, how sincere is Africa to itself? So you've not read a story that makes me puts me on this surprise mode and mood. You've not. But since I don't know the source of the story, I hate to engage in speculative journalism.
Now, Chukwudi, we can't go without looking at this one. Assault on core member.
Yeah, I saw the video.
I
saw the video.
And NBA is demanding that the culprits be prosecuted.
They should be.
And the lawyer of the lady says the culprits threatened to rape kill her.
There's an extent you talk about nudity on a platform like this. But if the clip I saw actually represented what they did to that woman, look, it goes back again to how we are as a people. Our values have taken a dip. That's not whom we were. A woman's nakedness in my time was treated as sacred.
Yes.
You know? Don't do that. Don't touch her. Don't. You want to get a woman nude outside? It was sacred in my time. Now we just... Hey, I want to see. What you want to see? It's unfortunate that we became like this. But then, quickly, the response of the government. They've been sacked. They actually are to be prosecuted and all that. So, I am happy that condign punishment is going to come to them at the end of the day.
Yes.
If they keep up the heat, you know.
That's reactive.
It's a shame.
That's reactive.
It's a shame.
It's fine, but it's still reactive. The idea is, what gave them, you know, how did they come about thinking that they could do that and get away with it? They were pursuing cultists, cult members. So how did that And that she made a comment that seemed to be in favor of the people.
Well, I thought they were vigilantes.
Yes, no, they are vigilante. They are state-recognized vigilante.
Yes.
You know? So Ludo has decided, since some people are trying to be whatever they like, I too, I should have my outfit to augment what police are doing. And I think it's paying off. But then bad like this would always... No. Well, this is just
we've had outfits like that, civilian JTF and all that in Maiduguri. It never happened like that.
Exactly. The values of the people again.
Yes.
Across Nigeria, I don't want to discriminate, but across Nigeria, you see behaviors that are different from place to place.
One other thing, Mr. Chukwudi, it's not because
these are non-state actors.
They are non-state actors.
No, they're not non-state actors if they are a bube. No, it's not a bubago. Okay, whatever their name is. They are recognized.
The thing is, what gave them the right to even enter their
Why
house?
do you think you could do
to
that?
To have access to their home.
Are there terms of reference?
Vigilante is recognized in the Nigerian statute books.
We're not saying it
because to the extent that they wear mufti and carry guns, they are non-state actors.
Why should they carry guns?
No. Vigilante is recognized. You know, so if they are vigilante bona fide, they are recognized. We are talking about their attitude. We are talking about their values. We are saying that when you put this in the African basket, it does not come up to who we are supposed to be, whom we were. You cannot tell me you're grabbing a woman to make her get her naked. No, what would you gain at the end of the day?
I wonder.
They were even saying that they were saying we will rape you.
Yes.
Look, let's not go there.
Will kill you.
It's a shame.
On video.
It's a shame.
They should be behind bars.
It's a shame. You see, the culture they come from, the traditional institution guarding their places of origin should even look into the matter. This is not how we are, my children. Africa must return to what it was.
Okay, Victor.
All right. Let's, on that note, let you...
I should return home, Because I said Africa should return to what it was.
Yes, return home. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good morning, Nigeria. We'll begin the conversation for today, which is on our waterways, just after this break. Please don't go away.
Introducing the new Jig Sachet. Whitening your whites has never been more affordable. Now you can keep whites shining brighter and disinfect by killing 99.9% of germs on your floors and other surfaces. Just jig it with Jig Sachet.
Are you ready? Join us on Reshaping Democracy, a groundbreaking program on the network service of the NTA, where citizens get the chance to ask ministers, heads of ministerial departments, agencies, and other top government officials questions on their performance and delivery of mandates. With no sector of limits, conversations build around bridging communication gaps for feedback and effect as our guests engage with the people they serve.
How does ND foster partnerships with organizations, government agencies, NGOs, among others?
As our leaders give account to citizens' inquiries on good governance, tune in to Reshaping Democracy, a creative concept coming up every Tuesday evening at 10:05 p.m.
This is Reshaping Democracy.
Food security is national security, and where there is hunger, then the insecurity in that particular country will continue to remain. And so it is in everybody's interest, not just the government interest, but the private sector as well, to ensure that we have a very good agricultural policy that drives sustainable growth and then progress, of course, in its implementation. One of the things that we were doing and we stopped doing as a country is the operations of the storage facilities, the storage infrastructure, all the way to logistics, talking about farm mechanization, the vehicles that we need. The feeder routes, the construction of the feeder routes. The feeder routes are so called because they are not A-trunk roads. They are farmstead roads. I believe that if a considerable investment can go into the construction of feeder roads, then our machines, our transportation equipment would be a lot more efficient. There will be a lot of uptime, less downtime, and we will be able to, on good time, transport our produce from farm gate to either factory gate or market gate. Let us look at how we can make a dual use of our farm mechanization equipment so that when a tractor in the planting season takes a plow, a harrow, and it's able to prepare land, during the harvest and post-harvest season, you should be able to attach a bucket to that tractor to be able to take it to the nearest center where it can then be taken on. These are short and medium-term measures that we can take to boost productivity. We need to ensure that agriculture is practiced in the most acceptable and modern way possible. We need to make sure that the science of agriculture is indeed science. In other words, we are able to apply methods, we are able to apply resources into green agriculture, so that when we are fully migrated away from hoes and cutlasses and all of these menial tasks, which, by the way, have formed some impression in the mind of these young people, they would then be able to see how enjoyable and how profitable agriculture can be. We've seen a lot of digitization of the sector. There is digitization of agriculture today. We have precision agriculture. We also have climate smart agriculture. All of these, of course, hydroponics, greenhouse agriculture, and all of these are actually a better way, a more excellent way of producing food in an organic manner, but a lot more smartly.
You're welcome. You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria. And to set the tone for our conversation today, let's take this background report by Ibrahim Danhamidu.
Nigeria is a nation blessed with vast rivers, lakes, and creeks that stretch across thousands of kilometers. From Lagos Lagoon to the River Niger and Benue. Our inland waterways hold the potential to ease the pressure on our roads, expand trade, and connect communities. But with this potential comes challenges: safety, regulation, and enforcement. Every year, tragic boat mishaps claim lives, often linked to overcrowding, poor safety standards, and unlicensed operators. Beyond accidents, the adherence and proper supervision to regulations hinder investment in water transport, leaving untapped a sector that could reduce traffic congestion, boost tourism, and create jobs. The federal government, through agencies like the National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, has been pushing reforms, enforcing safety jackets, licensing vessels, and dredging channels. But questions remain. How do we strengthen regulation without stifling business? How do we enforce standards across remote riverine communities? And how do we get Nigerians to trust water transport as a reliable alternative? Globally, inland waterways have been turned into engines of growth. From the Danube River in Europe to the Mekong in Asia. Nigeria too can achieve this if policy, enforcement, and community awareness all align. Up next, our guests who live and breathe inland waterways will help us see how Nigeria can keep every journey safe, every operator responsible, and turn our rivers into true highways of national progress.
All right, many thanks, Ibrahim Habidu, for that background report. Let's now begin this conversation and introduce our guests who will be discussing regulating inland waterways transportation. Let me introduce first Professor Umar Adam Katsael, MNI, Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Transportation, Daura, Katsina State. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be in this very important program. Thank you very much.
All right. Also here in the studio is Manu Chuboju, who is a lawyer and transportation consultant. We thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
It's a pleasure to see you again. And joining us from Lokoja is Surveyor Olawale Adetola, General Manager, Business Development, National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA. Thank you so much for joining us. Also joining us via Zoom from Zaria, Kaduna State is Dr. Shehu Usman Gidado. He's the Director of Maritime Transport, Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology, NIT. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians.
Victor?
All right, let's begin from NIWA. For obvious reasons, they have the responsibility to look after our waterways and regulate what happens along the channels. So let me ask, what exactly is the state of our waterways as we speak in terms of safety, use, and whatever makes up, the transportation, water transportation business? Can you hear me? All right, I was asking what the state of our waterways is as we speak in terms of safety.
In terms of safety is one thing, and I think safety is one of the most important requirements today on the use of Nigerian inland waterways as a means of transport, which is really more important for. But most of all, to achieve that, really there has been a long-term neglect where we must start emphasizing this on the development and use of Nigerian waterways as a means of transport. More to that, it has led to low level of infrastructure development. There are no jetties, no landing points, no loading centers, no real connectivity with other modes of transport. So the level of development of the terminals for Nigerian waterways, where loading takes place and where the journey starts and where it ends, is not really well designated, not built, not developed at all. So that is one key factor. So from there again, rickety canoes, boats, and watercrafts are used. There has never been any change in the technology, design, or resilience of the boats we use to the rough environment of the current inland waterways we have. And this led to low level of infrastructure, low level of the carriers, and then the way itself, the channels are never in good shape at all. We've had one experience of dredging, which was really not good enough because it has been marred by several issues. But since then, no level of development has taken place on the waterways for it to be safely used.
What?
Most of them. Licensing system has not enforced this level of skill on them. Ownership of boats, its registration, and licensing for operation is also very weak. So generally, there's weak enforcement of basic safety standards that are required to have good operators on the waterways. And then passengers, again, because of this, the commercial importance of waterways just fizzled away. Unless in areas where it is mandatory, you don't have any option. That's one. Then again, on exigencies, trying to cross from one bank to the other, trying to move from one market to another, or trying to use it as a cheaper mode of transport for attending ceremonies. So these are the common uses which the Nigerian waterways should have been developed beyond this. Passenger travels, goods transportation should have been what is going on our waterways. But because those terminals were such, you see, in transport, the most important thing is the terminal. Where do you start the journey? And if there is no jetty, no ramps, no landing ports, no designated areas for connectivity with other modes of transport, waterways transport cannot take place. And it's not taking place currently in Nigeria.
Okay, Dr. Gidado, thank you so much for your opening comment here now. Let's go back to Surveyor Olawale Adetola. He's the General Manager, Business Development, NIWA. He's joining us from our Lekoja studio. You've listened to Dr. Gidado raise some pertinent questions, and people have been saying, experts, in waterways have said NIWA has been there for more than 2 decades, and still we're having constant accidents on our waterways. So what concrete steps is your agency taking to ensure operators in particular comply with safety rules such as life jackets and vessel capacity limits? And can you tell us what is the state of the waterways in Nigeria as of now?
Thank you. As of today, the state of the waterways is as described by Dr. Gidado. A lot of things that needs to be done. Due to paucity of funds, it has not been done. But we are improving on what it used to be. Like he said, for NIWA, the most important thing is to make the waterway navigable and to make it safe as an alternative modes of transportation. Presently, since last year when the Inland Waterways Transportation Code has been inaugurated, we've been doing a lot of sensitizations but we've been trying to play down on the enforcement. But as of recent, we are now moving more seriously on the enforcement of what needs to be done by operators on the waterway. And we have engaged community people as river marshal to make sure that some of what we are supposed to enforce, they do it. That is, ensure that for whoever is on a vessel, water vessel, you must put on your life jacket. Not just putting it on, it must be properly done. You don't overload the boat, and you don't move at night. These are some of the things we are doing. And like you have just said, the essence of it is to make it a veritable means of transporting people and cargoes. So whatever needs to be done, we are working on it to attract private investors to go and invest on the huge potentials that is available on inland waterways in Nigeria. In so many ways, we are calling on people, let them come. If they have any question, we are ready to answer. In a way to put them through so that they will develop the waterway as the road has been developed. And we are collaborating with the Nigerian Railways to see wherever there will be connectivity to make the inland waterways more viable. We are working on it too. So we are doing a lot of things. But I believe with time, it will reflect on the country as we get better and better. But by and large, we have done a lot from last year to now, and we are still doing more, and we are still going to do more.
All right, thank you very much for your opening remarks. I'm sure we'll get back to you multiple times because all of this revolve a lot around the activities of NIWA. But let's get here in the studio and let me get to Professor Katsayal. I'm just wondering what specific gaps in our, inland waterways sector was the University of Transportation set up to fill?
So thank you very much. Before I go into that, please permit me to use this golden opportunity to commiserate with His Excellency the Katsina State Governor and the people of Katsina State, His Excellency Mr. President and good people of Nigeria on the sad incident that happened yesterday in Katsina State, specifically in the Malampashi local government, where over 50 persons were killed. May their soul rest in perfect peace. As an academic, let me bring to the fore to the people that last year alone, over 400 people were lost, together with other properties, as a result of this thing we are talking about mishap. And the data showed that in the last decade, over 3,000 people were lost as a result of this. It means that this is a serious thing that calls for serious attention. And this is the reason why, when this university was established, one of the programs, academic programs, approved, applied to NUC, National Universities Commissions, and subsequently approved was Inland Waterways Safety and Administration as a degree. Why? Because we know that this is a mode of transportation which, if not older than anyone, globally, is one of the oldest moving in waters. Because we know water is the largest platform. We see this earth, but when you go into water, you know, we are just island. How big your area is an island, how big it is. So beside the oceans, internally we have a lot of waterways connecting communities, connecting towns, cities. You see, even in cities, even here in Abuja, you see there are packets of water. That's why you have Jabi Lake. So as a result, we see that it is very important for the university to build capacity in that area. We are using old boats, as they mentioned, not giving attention. I don't want to say neglect, but not giving the due attention. That's why we are using that old boat. We are still using paddling. And our young ones now are not much interested in such things. Remember, not only in water transportation, but in many of those cultures whereby you see families, they have established trade. Our young ones are not imbibing such trade from their parents and grandparents. The same thing with this water. That's why I say, okay, let's establish a program specifically for that reason and build capacity for Nigerians and even beyond, so that over time this will be very much attractive, using newly constructed boats, using now you have simple boats that are not wooden. Plastic, some it's just balloon. You blow it, you can collapse it. So very easy. And also using jetties. And now you have movable jetties, so that even if the water over time goes down, you move it. And also with sensors, so that you can identify either wood inside water, or rock, or any obstacles, so that you'll be able to avoid it. And also such devices that can help to even move even in the night, so that the transportation will continue. Not only it will continue, but it will continue seamlessly, efficiently, and without any unnecessary deaths and loss of properties. Now it has just started. I am telling you, right from Kebbi State down to Akwa Ibom, say this will continue to happen. Just last week in Sokoto. Before then, it was in Kebbi. It happened in Niger State. It will continue. It's something last year. And this will continue to happen unless we put a lot of these measures. And that's why the university is giving this serious attention by building capacity, because even if you provide the infrastructure, once there's no human capacity that can utilize the infrastructure, we are going nowhere. Let me use this time also to sincerely appreciate what the Deputy Senate President did in Kano State, in Bagwe local government. That's all water. He has recently provided 2 boats, more than once, which people are now using from one community to another. That's why last year you didn't hear, but also that place was annual occurring, but it didn't happen last year as a result of that intervention. We encourage him to also provide jetties, but at the 2 sides. And this time around, let it be a kind of movable jetty, so that if the water goes down, you can move it and utilize, and also provide other infrastructure at both sides so that it will continue. And call on other people. They rightly mentioned, from local as the business mentioned, that this is an area whereby not only the government, but also individual and corporate can come in. You can have a commercial boat that you can continue to make money. And the regulators, they should not downplay their constitutional duty of the regulation. They must intensify effort in that area, because people, many at times, they rely God day. This is wrong thing. You cross your life on danger. God that created you knows that, but he has given you the knowledge, he has given you the intent that don't put yourself in a danger. And also, besides the regulatory agencies, even along the communities, you have to protect yourself by adhering to those rules and regulations. Not only by the government, if any communities, they have the rules and regulations, adhere to such rules and regulations, so that we continue to utilize this very important sector, and also continue to reap the benefit of that, not only movement, but also what we call environmentally friendly, because we cannot just, while using that waters, but not also taking care and being mindful of the environmental impact also. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Let's bring in Mr. Mani into this conversation now. You know, I know your passion when it comes to waterways.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the huge potential that can be derived from the waterways in Nigeria. We've seen countries making huge revenues from waterways. And in Nigeria, it's as if it's just to transport people across. You know, you can transport cargo, human goods and everything, and then take them to their destination. The waterways are there, but apart from regulations, what needs to be done to ensure that it can contribute also to the GDP of this country?
Thank you very much. Prof has mentioned a lot of what needs to be done. He's mentioned capacity building, provision of jetties, and infrastructure provision. In addition to that, again, he also mentioned that the regulators need to take the issue of regulation and enforcement of the safety rules seriously. He also mentioned, which is where I will take off from, the potentials, that there needs to be a public-private partnership engagement. The exploitation of water resources is not just for the local communities where we keep using archaic, outdated canoes. You see, Prof was doing like this. And unfortunately, that is where we have been in the last 300 years. The development, rowing manually and using rickety wooden boats. You see, what the Deputy Senate President did by providing modern boats, modern is the word, modern, not wooden, modern boats. In fact, the boats should be such that we can go to work in it, dressed well and be comfortable. It should not just be something for the peasants and the workers. And it should be something that even the government officials can be comfortable traveling in. We should use the picture of the developing, let me not use developing, let me say developed countries as an example.
At the UK,
France, all these other countries, Germany, France. It's no big deal, by the way. The standard of boats and ferries there can be replicated here easily.
With political will.
Yes, with political will, and also too with an entrepreneurial spirit of our people. Let the business associates and others not be waiting for government to start and then get it privatized to them. That attitude is not right. Let businessmen, young men and women, entrepreneurs get in there. And quite frankly, still on the potentials. Waterways is one of the most neglected potentials of Nigeria. The the transportation system stands on 4 tripods: aviation, railway, road, and water. 80% of our transportation for now is on road, and that is totally lopsided and inefficient. And what that means is we are putting so much burden on the roads. And it also means that the water economy is completely neglected because we're not treating it as a business. We're not treating it as a viable opportunity to employ people. We're not treating it as something that can bring money to the country. Now, besides just moving people, you rightly mentioned, we can move cargo. We can move cargo. We can move cargo from Port Harcourt all the way to Baru, all the way down the river, Katsina, Sokoto, Makurdi, Kano, all the way on our rivers. We have a network of 10,000 kilometers, 3,000 of which are navigable all year round. It's just like having a mode of transportation that you don't use. The trailers we have on our roads can move their goods through water. We can use barges. Prof was describing different boats. There are also barges too, adding to what Prof said. You can use barges. Barges can move. Some are self-propelled. Some can be pulled, also like trailers. These barges can take out 10,000 of these trailers on our highway, causing hazards every day,
And I think I recall, Victor, you discussed this matter once on one of these your programs of trailers. If we are worried about trailers, we have a highway that is safe, that we have neglected, and waterways is one of them. You line up badges, they'll take out all those cements, Dangote cement, all the various cements, all these hazardous chemicals and petroleum products, diesel, gas, you name it, they can go by water safely. And by using modern boats, as Prof implied, you can make the waters more navigable because the boats are modern, they have sensors, they can tell where it is shallow, where it's deep. And not only that, you can have jetties, as Prof have also said, that are safe, that are modern. And by the way, inland revenue, inland waterways, NIWA, they have regulations for it already. They have their transportation code. And they said it's only now they'll be going into enforcement. And I recall it's only now, too, that they are setting up water marshals or river marshals. Having 800 river marshals is not sufficient. I mean, for 10,000 kilometers of waterways, even for the 3,000 that is more navigable all year round, it's still not sufficient. You're talking maybe 2, 3, 4 marshals per 1,000 kilometers. And that is not sufficient.
That's not enough.
So for you to be efficient, increase the number of those marshals, train them, go and attend some courses in Daura, and improve the capacity of those marshals, even if it is, let me say, not a degree awarding or certificate awarding, just attendance. They can go to Daura for 2 weeks for intensive training, improve the capacity of those marshals.
Certificate courses.
Certificate courses. They'll be very proud that they attended the university to enhance their capacity as marshals to enforce transportation, water transportation. I recall as a young man, when we started the Federal Road Safety Commission, back then, and I remember we would drive our motorbikes and vehicles from Bauchi, sometimes from Jos, all the way to Maiduguri. And the problem we had then were insufficient marshals on the way. Insufficient. And we made a lot of representation asking for more marshals. And it is going to be the same thing in this instance. If you don't have enough marshals, you don't have enough boats, and you don't do enough community outreach and enough sensitization. Sensitization must go to the grassroots, because it's not just about boat hazards alone. It's also about economy. It's about employment. It's about making the environment safe for business. And this is a business that is totally neglected.
All right. Thank you very much, Manu Chiboju. Let me get back to Surveyor Adetola. I would like to ask, now you are talking about implementation. Of course, everybody says we have always had, we have rules, we have laws, we have regulations. The problem has always been with implementation. So what exactly are the challenges that NIWA has that had made it difficult to implement? You talked about regulating, the safety regulations, but you can see the visuals that have been rolling on our screen. That doesn't portray safety. So what exactly are the challenges of NIWA?
Once again, just like any other organization, paucity of funds to drive most of what we want to do is a principal one. But that one, the way things are now, we are moving towards what the last speaker just said, private-public partnership. In whatever area we can collaborate, either with another agency or with the general public, we are looking into that to make sure that our enforcement of the regulation is sacrosanct. By and large, the things we have done, most of the accident we are talking about has to do with majorly human errors. And just like the last speaker said, we are looking into bringing them for short-term courses to improve their knowledge on what to do on the waterway, so that it will be a very safe and reliable mode of transportation. Just like I said again too, the personnel we have now, they are inadequate, grossly inadequate, and for us to have more, we need more fund. But if government cannot provide, we are looking into people who are ready to collaborate with us to make sure that the enforcement of this regulation is done properly. And just like he said also, there is a lot to be made from the waterway. Water ascent and aquatic width that is constituting a navigable hazard. There are people who are ready to use it to make money by converting the water ascent and the aquatic width to mats and some other useful things for the society. So there are so many areas we can collaborate. Some people are ready to construct more jetties for us. They will use for some time and it will revert back to the government. So these are all the areas we are looking at. And by and large, I think we should be talking about collaboration among agencies. Like we just came back from a trip to the Barrow River Port. We are collaborating with Nigerian Railway and we are collaborating with the state government to make the access road that goes into that place okay. So that for cargo that will be coming into the port, it will be easy to be evacuated. Because if there is no road to evacuate whatever comes in, then the river port will be used. So these are so many areas we are looking into to make sure the waterway transportation means is improved upon. And another thing is people are reluctant to use the water. I think I need to make that clear. Many people are reluctant to use water, they are afraid. So we need to still continue to sensitize and enlighten people that it is the most viable and more reliable way of getting yourself to from one place to the other, and also safely. The visuals we are showing, yes, we are enforcing where we are present, but there are so many places we don't have personnel to go there. So we need more funds to engage more hands so that all over the country we will be enforcing the transportation code. Thank you.
All over the country will be enforcing the transportation code. If you can still hear me, you know, both operators have always complained about poor jetties and navigational aids and how much investment is going into infrastructural development.
Thank you. A lot is going into that. Concerning the passengers, we are enforcing the use of life jackets. Not just using it, you use it properly. And during one of the visuals we were showing, there is this thing we call buoys that we put on the water. This is to guide boat operators on the channels to follow so that they won't run aground or they will go and meet some other obstacle on the channel. On the channels to follow.
I'd like to get to Dr. Gidado, who is also not in the studio anyway, but I'd like to find out, in your opinion, how do you think that NIWA can navigate clearly, NIWA has said, well, we don't have funds, there's paucity of funds. How do you think they can navigate this and ensure safety on our waterways and also be self-sufficient?
I think there's one way NIWA can do the shortcuts. First of all, the enormous potentials which we all know on the waterways is a well-known issue. NIWA does not have the funds to build, develop all the jetties that are needed to propel inland waterways transportation. But this economy generally requires the inland waterways transport sector. Significant contributions could be made by this sector, which history has said it could be the starter, and which we have seen in other climes. China developed out of the Yangtze River. We have more than what Yangtze River is. That's why across our map is how good connectivity is waterways transport to this country. That can be done, one, by sensitizing the citizenry to understand the potential, the importance, and the contributions inland waterways can make to the transport sector. But it requires a presidential intervention in this regard. This is one of the important gold mines, I can say, which this country has never explored again. It was explored before the 60s, which becomes the main means of transportation within this country. If we can revisit inland waterways as a transport, not as mere space, build the jetties, build the terminals, that's where the transportation starts. There is nothing like modern transport terminals on our waterways. The boats that are used are no longer what we can use today. We don't need canoes. We have good technology, good designs that we can shift to gradually, phase out the non-functional ones and come up with modern boating facilities, ferries, barges. We can move goods and people. Essentially, what the inland waterways could do can happen here in this country. So we have not explored. NIWA should concert all efforts towards making sure that waterways transport takes place in Nigeria, on Nigerian waters, take advantage of the connectivity to 28 states and the entire 10,000 network, and also the very basic agricultural community in this country remotely rely on movement of a lot of produce along the waterways, but just to nearby markets, either across the river or within just 20 to 30 kilometers. So it should extend beyond that. The waterways transport can be made to move from Baro to Lokoja, Lokoja to Onitsha, Lokoja to Makodi, to Yola, up to Garua for exports. From Onitsha, we can connect all the ports, seaports. Onitsha can be like a hub for container movements and all that. The facility is already there, can only be expanded further because the market is there, but has not been utilized, so to say. So let us continue to sing the song. It has been Let's Harness Inland Waterways. That's why each time we come to these programs, we continue saying what we have said over and over. That means nothing has been done. We need to develop inland waterways transportation, put up the infrastructure, strengthen the regulations, train the operators, choose the best of goods boats, ships, ferries, and barges to move these goods, sensitize passengers, cargo owners to patronize the inland waterways transport as an alternative for roads or even rail, because it's far cheaper than all the other modes in terms of boats movement of goods and passengers in large quantity. So iron rods, containers, cement, all this produce has nothing to do with moving on these roads. They are cheaply or more cheaper moved along the waterways, at least to certain mileage, then connectivity with other modes. For example, we have a rule that tanker vehicles carrying petroleum products should not move on the road for over 250 kilometers. But we move these tankers with petroleum products from Lagos to Maiduguri, Lagos to Kano, 500, 700,000 kilometers. It's not proper. We can you see, by extension, non-utilization of these waterways has exacerbated the level of tanker explosion on our roads. These are dangerous goods that cannot be subjected to long-distance movement and shaky roads with bombs all over. You can imagine you are shaking a jerry can of petroleum in your hand. What do you think after some time we resort to? So that's how these tankers move along the roads. We have iron roads. We have cement that originates from waterways zone, which can equally move for some distance just to save the roads. I think there are a lot of agencies that should get involved, and particularly we need to regulate freight in this country. We need to say which goods should move on which mode, or what percentage of goods should move on road, on rail, on waterways, and then we can achieve that balance, because currently the waterways are not participating in the movement of either goods or passengers across this country, while the vast potential still remains what it is.
Remains what it is. I like the fact that you've painted a picture that if reforms are properly implemented, the waterways can contribute immensely to the revenue collection here in Nigeria. And our guests, don't forget to, our viewers watching us, don't forget to the number on your screen to send in your contribution, questions, and, response to some of the discussion topics. Some of the issues that has been raised in this conversation. Let me bring in Prof into this conversation now. We've listened, and one thing that also always comes to mind when we talk about this thing is the states themselves. So what is your response for the growing call for decentralization of inland waterways regulation to states so that the subnationals can contribute and be able to move this sector forward?
That's very germane. Let me remind us that it is very easy and cheaper to bring goods to Nigeria from other countries, long-distance countries like China, with ease, through water. But going into the interland, just to even within Lagos, not going to Maiduguri, you see, if care is not taken, you may multiply the amount of money you spend bringing the goods to Nigeria with ease. So this means that this infrastructure we are talking about, not today, we are not talking about majorly on rail or roads, but they are interconnected, but waterways. It means that not only NIWA, we need to call the attention now, it's also states, because no any laws that prevent state from investing. We are talking about public-private. So since we are talking about public-private, it means that states are the major partners in public relationship. Yes. Yes, it means that these affected states must, without any further ado, invest, not only invest, but heavily on this area of waterways. Not it will only save their people, the goods of the goods of the people, the environment, but also it will bring fund, it will bring money over time. So, and not only NIWA need to bring the regulations, the personnel, even the road safety, we have what we call special marshals. So it means that in collaboration with NIWA, states can also have these marshals if they can clamor for state policing. There's nothing wrong in also clamoring and even establishing. If they can establish vigilante, why not also establishing what we call special water guards, special water personnel?
Like they have it
yes,
in other climes.
And also other climes, so that they can utilize them to protect those ways, those are waterways, also to improve on it. Because as we said, human beings it is always complex being. He's seeing danger and bringing himself. But you, the owner of state, you, the leader of state, say, no, it is my responsibility to protect you from going into that danger, whether you like it or not. And this can only be done by providing those guards, by providing those relevant personnel. Therefore, I am calling for state to please invest heavily in this area. And the states, they have the wherewithal to do that. And this is a responsibility. This is a call to duty. So that with NIWA, with agencies like ours, whereby we can give the training. And let me tell you, I have already written to some states, right from Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Niger, that this is a university whereby not only you don't need to come to Daura. We can come, organize, we can come to state, train people. So those people you can select from those affected or affected communities. We train them. Then they go back to train others, train the trainers. You don't need to spend a lot of money, and also teach them how to maintain their boats, because when you also procure the modern boats, also need to train people so that they will be useful, so that they will not spoil within a short period of time and you become abandoned things and become nuisance. So we'll give that opportunity. So the call is not only on state, but also on individual around the area, that you can contribute to your community if you have the opportunity. And also National Assembly members in that area, they can utilize also their zonal intervention. Instead to build, for example, primary school classrooms or block of a classroom, providing street light, you can also intervene in this area. And thank God, now we are on the right time. Appropriation is coming 2026. So I'm calling the state government to put in place budget line for the improvement of their waterways along the line. I'm calling for senators and House of Representatives and state to also utilize their zonal intervention in that area so that they can empower their communities with these jetties, with these barges, with these modern boats that are not too expensive. And we can come in form of training to build the capacity of the community so that not only those things are procured, but are maintained, and over time we enjoy the usage, we benefit from them, we make a lot of money, and this will attract the private, because it's very difficult for private person to come and invest without any platform. So the initial thing is the government. The initial investment is the government, and not only the central, but the state, the sub-national, because we know even the revenue is not accruing to only the central, it's also accruing to the sub-national. So my call is not only to NIWA, but to state and other government functionaries, and we are ready to also give our constitutional responsibility of that training. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Kasaya. Let me get back to Mani Ochugboju. What level of collaboration? I mean, Prof has mentioned quite a number, but how useful do you think the university can be towards actualizing safe and profitable, waterways for Nigeria?
Incidentally, before this program started, Prof and I were chatting, and he was giving me an idea of certain strategic positioning of the university in the transport industry in Nigeria. Provision of databases, provision of training, manpower training, capacity development, and also too, they can also be part of consultancy groups. Most of these transport projects will be involved with them. We need quality intellectuals to be involved in the consultancy services as well. It's not just enough for those of us who have been doing it either as lawyers or former road transport workers, former marine transport workers. But the intellectual aspect, brings a certain level of creativity and a certain level of enlightenment and wisdom that sometimes, most cases, we lack. And in fact, in a developing country like Nigeria, one of the things we need really, really, really critically is that level of intellectual acuity and depth in our analysis, in monitoring, in solution provision that we need from the universities. And to that extent, the University of Transportation in Daura is excellent. It's an excellent opportunity for us as a country and as a people. We also need to support it because it's a national asset for us so that we can all gain from it, as a people. And as you can see from what Prof was saying, that the issue of involving the states is critical. And to that extent, it is right and proper we call out the states. 28 states are connected to water. And these 28 include Borno, by the way.
Yes, of course, yes. Yes.
Exactly. So all the way, 28 states that are connected to mass movement of water, we need to involve the Ministry of Transports. The Ministry of Transports, unfortunately, tend to be an appendix of Ministry of Works in most states. Yes. You rarely see a designated Ministry of Transportation in most states. That's to tell you how the mindset of most states are. They just think of Ministry of Health, Ministry of Justice. They don't think of Ministry of Agriculture, thank you very much. They don't think of Ministry of Transport. And when they think of Ministry of Transport, what they think of is just provide one bus and paint it. This line, this state line, that state line. And that's all. What about water? And that's also why we welcome the challenge Akwa Ibom is presenting and Enugu State is presenting. They are going to aviation. That is to tell you, these are states with a vision and want to take transportation seriously. And so if Akwa Ibom can go into aviation, Enugu State can go into aviation. Calabar can also do. Borno State can do. And then other states can go into water transportation. We can have ferries, modern ferries. And they must look for a way to discard canoes, by the way. Just as we don't like Okadas, as we call them. That is what canoes are. They are Okadas. They are hazardous. We must get rid of them.
And there's no monitoring of the canoes. How many passengers they take.
Exactly. In fact, by the time we start pushing this idea of modernization of the water transport, by the time we start bringing modern ferries, modern barges, modern boats, modern ones that you can sit down, read your book, drink your coffee, and be comfortable. Those modern types. Nobody wants to use the canoe.
Nobody.
Canoe, open canoe, somebody is pushing it with his pedals and it's dangerous. So let's just agree as a policy position that this is hazardous and it should be banned. But we can't just ban it outright, provide alternatives. And how do we provide alternatives? By calling the state governments and inviting the Nigerian entrepreneurs. Bring in your business ideas. Let's invest in this neglected area of our industry. And that will bring about a turnaround in what we are seeing today.
A turnaround in what we're seeing today, exactly. It's quite interesting because some people like me, I love water. I like traveling with water, but unfortunately, it can't be done here in this country. Let's bring in Mr. Adetola. Mr. Adetola.
I think we should go on break before we take.
Okay, we're taking a break. Yes, and to our viewers, please don't forget to send in your contributions, your questions, and in response to the conversation taking place. We'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation will continue. Don't go away.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
we can change the narrative about Nigeria. You know, when people talk about Nigeria, they talk negatively about it most of the times. So it's the role of the filmmakers to now bring that positive side of Nigeria for the world to understand that Nigerians are more than the negative information they used to get. And we can do that digitally, because in those days, you know, you have to communicate or go for lectures for people to understand where you're coming from. But now you have these platforms. Everything you have can go on these platforms. People will see globally. Look at Nigeria on Netflix. It's doing really very well. When Nigerian films premiere on Netflix, you find out that they're in the top 5 or top 10 in most of the European countries, Asian countries, and all other parts of the world. So this is one of the ways through which we can be able to export that, you know, or do that cultural exchange.
How much of being a Nigeria cultural ambassador are you? And we're all guilty of this. Most of us Nigerian filmmakers are guilty. So here we see a good number of us telling stories that are still Western culture dominated. From the naming of your characters, from the writing of your story, the characters are named English names. What happens to Yoruba names? What happens to Hausa names? What happens to Igbo names? What happens to Tiv names? What happens to our cultural epic names? Oh, they say, but they will not be able to pronounce it. Oh, leave that to them. Do we pronounce their own names? We have to be intentional about how we represent our culture, knowing now that the world is a global space and you don't need people's permission. Everything you do, directly or indirectly, intentionally or unintentionally, you're putting the Nigerian story out there. I think we should begin to make conscious attempts at creating our own streaming platforms. So we thank God for giant streaming platforms like Prime Video. We thank God for giant streaming platforms like Netflix and the rest of them. But what happens if today or if tomorrow we come up with our own Nigerian Netflix?
Yeah, welcome back. And if you are still watching Good Morning Nigeria, watching this program now, we're discussing, you know, the waterways in Nigeria and its potential. But we have viewers who are contributing to this conversation now. Let me take it before we get to our other guests. Let me take the ones I have. Engineer Akeju said, inland waterways is a game changer for modern transportation system. Safety and poor surveillance are alluded in the discussion is part of this challenge. However, Lagos State is doing better. NIWA should encourage other coastal states and states along the river stretches to consciously develop infrastructure to tap into this potential. And Akeju Olagbaju said, for our financial institutions such as banks doing well to finance the development of private jetties? If no, what should be the incentive to motivate them to look into that direction? And another one said, good morning Nigeria, he's Johnson from Bayelsa State. Let's be sincere to ourselves. The waterways compared to road transportation, CNG buses is dormant. I don't exactly know what he's trying to say here actually. Victor?
All right, and from Jack Abba in Makurdi, Benue State. It says it's a pity that on our roads, airways and waterways are all sources of fear to their users. It's high time special attention is given to the waterways with improvements to this important sector of the economy with new and modern boats. It said, let's avoid the daily losses in our waterways. And from Ujang Jessam Edet in Cross River, Engineer. Good morning, Nigeria. I'm grateful for Good Morning, Nigeria. You spoke my mind concerning inland waterways. Now, this means that water transportation has been neglected for far too long without cogent reasons. I'm a civil engineer by profession and practice, but I must confess waterways transport has to be revitalized because it's the best means, and this would bring more productivity. And finally, from Arabi Kende Paul in Life Camp, good morning, panelists. We are not exploring the huge benefits in the internal waterways. We need to spend more on infrastructure and improve the existing ones. Lastly, we need to educate and regulate this sector as it has a way of reducing food costs and transport fare. All right? I'd like to get to NIWA again.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, as part of safety measures, is there a way, Surveyor Adetola, that you read the weather ahead of those trips on waterways so as to know whether you should go or not to go, the same way that air transportation works?
Thank you. We collaborate with NIMET. We don't read the weather, they do, but we collaborate with them. So it's not just the weather, even for flood. We rely on them for prediction on when flood might occur. And as we do, we give out relevant notices to the riverine communities that might be impacted by their prediction. So we are collaborating with NIMET in terms of weather. And for other organizations that we know are vital to our operations on the waterway, we collaborate with them. And whatever area, we need to let the public know that this is what is happening. We disseminate the information quickly so that lives will be saved. We do this.
Apart from monitoring the weather, how do you ensure that operators comply with issues surrounding vessel capacity limits? The number of people they take on the vessels. How do you monitor? Because there's often a blame game between NIWA and state agencies like LASWA. So what are you doing to ensure that limitation on boats is adhered to?
We are doing some other CSR, that is corporate social responsibility, by training boat operators on modern and better ways of moving their vessel on water. And like the issue you are talking about with LASWA, we are collaborating with them. Just like it has been mentioned, all the riverine states or the coastal states, we are encouraging them to partner with us. It is about the people, not about NIWA or not about the state, but how life can be better on the waterways to assist the people who uses the water. And by doing that, we are making it more enticing for other people to come on board. Because generally, many people are scared of moving on water. So we are ready to collaborate with any state, not just the state, local government, so that waterway will be used, not just used, but in a better and modern way. And it will be done in a safer and a very good way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Surveyor Adetola. Let me just get to our Zoom guest, Dr. Gidado. I'd like to ask, from a training and capacity building standpoint, how ready would you say Nigeria is to produce the manpower required to manage our inland waterways and make a success of it?
Thank you for this question. Of course, at this point in time, training for the inland waterways should start from a kind of a needs assessment. And what we don't have today in operating transportation on our waterways is, first of all, good hands and techniques for boat design. Our engineers should focus on building jetties, infrastructure, first of all, training on infrastructure development, training on boat technology, and the kind of vessels that should be used on our waterways. Then regulatory issues are on ground, training on such can be given to middle and senior officers in the industry. There is also the need to carry out training at the ministerial level on officers who are concerned with actually overseeing activities in this sector to understand the enormous potentials, to also understand implementation strategies towards bringing in the private sector, the entire Nigerian transport user to understand the need for alternative on the waterways. So principally, the kind of training needed for our waterways starts from the basic skills for understanding the operability of the waterways. Just like we, maybe by guess, all know how to move our vehicles on the road. For the waterways too, first of all, you need the terminal where this transportation should start. And you need the way, that is the channels on which these ships and boats and barges can move on. You need to train the operators of this. You need to acquire the boats, first of all. Identify the specific type of technology, low draft vessels, because we have not dredged these channels that deep to use every kind of ship or boat design. And this is one of the major causes of some of these accidents. We have all said that remove canoes. Gradually, we can do that when we are trained. We have visited a lot of boat builders. They are still using the last old technology of putting wood in form of a canoe and then attaching engines to it. Measurements, dimensions, and basic techniques for naval architects in boat building are required. This kind of knowledge are the kind of training that needs to be done. And with that, people will now understand the safety implications of even the boat design itself. So then the commercial aspect, we should be able to start making all students of transport to understand the comparative cost in the various modes, and also for goods and for passengers. With that, there will be another training on marketing strategies towards making those who make use of transportation to understand what mode suits which kind of operation, which type of cargo, which type of passenger, what kind of routes. All this basic knowledge of fundamental principles of transportation should be built into those who should be concerned or engaged with inland waterways transportation too. The motive power. Boats, ships use outboard engines, use built-in engines. What type of propeller? How does it resist the type of waterways we have? How does it display some level of efficiency in pushing, pulling, or moving these vessels we are putting on the waterways? Their speed and speed limit, their duration for operation, fuel consumption. All these are various technologies and techniques that are available which can enhance the type of vessels, the channels, and the type of landing points we use for the waterways, and training should go on all these aspects.
You know, every time this we come to talk about here, Dr. Mani, I'll come to you before we go to Prof. Every time we have a boat mishap happens, people lose lives, we come here, we talk about it. It's like a sing-song. You know, we keep going on and on. So, in your opinion, do you think government itself has shown enough political will, to arrest this recurring situation on our waterways that continues to happen? It goes on the news. After some time, people actually forget that it happened, and then it happens again, and we come here, we talk about it. So is there the political will by government to ensure that this does not continue to happen and people will not continue to lose their lives on the waterways?
Jume, thank you very much for this question. You recall the statistics that Prof narrated. 400 up to 3,000 in the last decade and more. And that's in just the last decade. What it suggests is it is a recurrent thing, and we are going to be having this kind of hazards. Now, these data are shocking, they are outrageous, and worse, they are avoidable. They are avoidable deaths, they are avoidable incidents. As to the government's will, when we say government in this system, I don't want to think of just federal government alone. Good. Now, 28 states have waterways in Nigeria, 28. We call them out. First and foremost, the Constitution of Nigeria does not put water transportation on the exclusive list. Let them remember that. It's not on the exclusive list. So having Ministry of Agriculture and Health alone is not enough. Your Ministry of Transport must include water transportation. Even if you are not even on the coastal line, there's nothing wrong with you making arrangements for it. That needs to be drummed in. So when we talk of government now, I think the first people to call out really, I'm sorry to say, state governments. State government, because they are the ones closest to the people. Abuja, inland waterways, yes, particularly inland waterways, because it's also their mandate legally to ensure free flow of goods and services and jetties provision and maintenance of the regulations. Yes, we'll call them out. But we have to look at what the state governments are doing. Even local governments in Lagos, they attend to water transportation. Local governments in Lagos State. If Lagos can do it, River State can do it, Bayelsa can do it, Calabar can do it, Benue can do it, Katsina, Zamfara, all the way that are all connected to waters can do it. And I keep reminding people also Borno State, because sometimes people forget that Borno has water too.
Has water.
You know? So, but seriously speaking, these are critical issues. There are ports already in places like Baru. Baru has a port. And what's the problem with Baru? Old, neglected, no access road. But it's a functional river port, completely neglected. And we need to also call out Onitsha here. Onitsha has one of the finest river ports in Nigeria. And unfortunately, for the last 20 to 35, going to 40 years, you can verify, as we say in Nigeria, it has been neglected for no reason. Complete, sophisticated, well-built river port. So this, our neglect goes deep. It's not just even at just the governmental level. It goes down to the communal level, the business people. The bulk of the containers that enter Nigeria, they go to Onitsha. But Onitsha businessmen will rather put it in Lagos and transport it by road. Why don't you bring it to Port Harcourt? Why don't you bring it on there and use barges to take it to Onitsha? It's safer, it is cheaper. Prof was saying you can transport goods from far away China to Nigeria, cheap, within 45 days. But you spend about the same time and money carrying it from Onitsha, from Lagos to Onitsha. I don't even want to say from Lagos to Kano or Maiduguri. No. I'm just saying to Onitsha. About the same, yes, about the container that you are carrying from China to Lagos. You spend about the same money and time. Even getting it out of the port alone, you spend 2 weeks. Because we insist on using the old methods that are completely impracticable. We keep using only Lagos for almost all. 85-90% of our vessels or of our containers go to Lagos. Why? Why can't you put them in One, put them in Calabar, put them in Port Harcourt, put them in Warri, and barge them all the way to Kano, barge them all the way to Zamfara, barge them all the way to Yola? Why not? So this thinking has to be addressed. The business people, we also have to address them. While we are addressing government, we have to address the business people whose goods they rot away, they get stuck in Lagos, they get stolen, the trailers carrying them broke down, demorage, all sorts of issues.
So
all right,
this
just run off.
These are issues. These are issues that we must also present to not just the government and the local governments, but the business sector.
All right, thank you very much, Mani Ochuboju, for your remarks. Let me get back to Professor Kasayal. And I'm wondering, if you were to prioritize one area, would it be safety, infrastructure, or regulation for you as the biggest gap holding back Nigeria's inland waterways?
They are all critical, all these things you mentioned. But for me, first, the infrastructure. Then, because you need to have the infrastructure to think about the safety of the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Then, second, the training. Those who need to utilize the infrastructure, or the two at the same time. Because by the time you are procuring a jetty, you are building a jetty, how do you need to utilize it? By the time you are procuring the boat, how do you, the ferries, how do you need to utilize it? Capacity building come in. And the capacity building comes together with the safety, because it's safety measures are human beings that are to enforce it, that are utilize it. So this perspective that they are all critical. So I would like to start, because this procurement takes time. As I said earlier, you need to budget for it. You need to plan for the budget. So you need to start on time. Then also the training aspect also need to be planned. As Dr. Gidado mentioned, what kind of training do you need to give? The sectors, the stages, because you need different level of training. So also then the safety, and also very important, how to utilize, because in every challenge there are a lot of opportunities. How to utilize those opportunities in these challenges we mentioned. So they are all critical, and for me, this is where we need to start. But as I mentioned, Lagos, many a times Nigerians, they used to even bring their goods through other countries, like Cotonou, sometimes up to Lomé in Togo. Why? Then follow the roads to bring them into Nigeria, because we are not fully utilizing our waterways. He mentioned that through One, where you, even from Lagos, you can utilize the same. Now we are building coastal roads. These waterways are already in existence, isn't it? You don't need to build there or there. One thing good with water is not like you come and say, okay, this where you build is not bridge, isn't it? It's only to navigate. Isn't it? So it's even cheaper. You don't need to wake up now to say, okay, we are building so number of kilometers. Let's invest. That's why we are saying just buy the ferries, buy the barges, and train people to use, how to maintain them, how to utilize them. Because I am saying that not only you procure, but how to utilize them, how to maintain. Because we are seeing a lot of time Nigerians will see we procure a lot of things. You see them over time. Look at these buses we procure in FCT. One time when you go there, ISO. Why? Because no plan for maintenance put in place. And also our culture, our maintenance culture, very poor. So very important building these critical areas. Thank you very much.
We've already, the time is already up, for the program. How interesting it is that before you know it, 2 hours is gone, actually. So Professor Umar Adam Kasayal, MNI, Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Transportation, Daura. Thank you so much for your
contribution. It's my honor and privilege. Thank you.
Mani Ochuboju, lawyer and transport consultant. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And Surveyor Olawale Adetola, General Manager, Business Development, NIWA. He joined us from our Lokoja studio. We appreciate your contributions to the conversation. Thank you so much. And Dr. Shehu Usman Gidado, Director, Maritime Transport, Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology, NIT, Zaria. He joined us via Zoom. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thank you. Welcome, and good morning, Nigeria.
And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I am Jumai Yusuf.
And I am Victor Azu. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.